Okay, good morning, everybody. We'll call this meeting of the Capital Program Committee to order Thursday, October 27th, a little bit after 10 a.m. Present Christy Kickham, PJ Kaiser, Richard Hussey, Jill Veith, and myself. Don't see anyone else for membership. This meeting is being audio video recorded. It will be posted on the town's YouTube channel. Please don't say or broadcast anything you don't want to have broadcast. Get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
On your, we'll do roll call since we're hybrid, on your motion, Richard,
Aye.
PJ,
Aye.
Christy,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
and I'm an aye, carries unanimously. Public comment? No one in the public in attendance, no public comment. Minutes, adoption of minutes for October 13th. Any comments on the minutes? Other than a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, PJ on your motion?
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Christy,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Those carry unanimously. FY24 capital requests and out year discussion for DPW general facilities. Charlie, I'll have you pronounce your last name so that I don't mess it up, but we have Charlie here from DPW.
It's Charlie Palaki.
Lucky, okay. Thank you, Charlie. And why don't you jump in? We've got two items to discuss.
Sure, which one would you like to start with?
Why don't we hit the security cameras first?
Alrighty.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
In the paperwork, it shows this as a low elective, but in this paperwork, it shows it as a high.
I think the update is the spreadsheet to indicate both. Maybe the priority didn't get updated
Change in dollars.
in the database, but with the change of dollars.
Okay.
But we'll have Charlie clarify that. Charlie, why don't you go ahead and get started? And if you could start with just addressing the priority level of the request.
Sure. I guess I put it somewhere in a medium. This was something I was asked to put together by Rick and Libby. And it kind of goes along with an island-wide initiative to expand Wi-Fi access points. This will work in conjunction to get wireless access points out to some of the beaches in parks that will then tie in. We'll be able to tie this security system into that as well.
Okay,
So it's a medium request, not a high.
I put it somewhere, or medium or high. I guess I didn't. That's the one part that didn't really prep me for. I apologize.
okay. We're gonna give you some latitude. You're new to this
Yeah,
process.
first timer here.
Yeah, one of the things you're gathering is, we take the level of priority assigned by the department as an indicator of, on our review and determination. So, just keep that in mind.
Okay.
And we'll sort out where this one lands in subsequent discussion. But why don't you go ahead and give us a quick description of the project? Any comments you'd like to make?
All right. Is the screen sharing come up for you guys?
Yeah.
All right. So basically, we're looking at 8 different locations for right now, and as kind of the jump off point of this project, including Tom Nevers Field, Winter Park, the Jetties Beach, the Children's Beach, Delta Fields, Nobodier Fields, Surfside Beach area, and then one additional camera actually here on the DPW campus. And this is for overall security and monitoring of, try to make all these facilities a little more secure. We obviously have vandalism occur at different points across all these locations, and hopefully this will be a deterrent to a lot of that. So I worked with the guys from Sectronics, Andy, who has worked previously with the town on the rest of our system. So this should integrate hopefully seamlessly into our current network that is used by the police department.
Okay. Thank you. Questions or comments?
Maybe more so on our spreadsheet, but so this is obviously nestled under DPW facilities. As
Mhm.
opposed to, so that's still where Park and Rec is requesting from.
I can let Brian address that if I'm incorrect, but I believe how we're dealing with projects is the department that will manage their implementation.
Okay.
So as a matter of facilities, it'll go to DPW.
Facilities related, even though presented by Parks and Rec,
Yeah,
so to speak.
Because that Parks and Rec is under DPW.
Okay.
Yeah, we're currently-
Is that ever gonna be stripped out as its own category? or-
We have not really had that discussion internally about adding that. It might be something that we could think about doing, but
Gotcha.
we haven't undertaken that as of today.
And then for the request number, it looks like it's nestled under admin.
Because it was originally, I think, put in as, probably because Rick put it in, and it was an admin priority at the time. That
Okay.
has been
That's
transferred
correct.
to, it's been transferred to DPW and ultimately Parks and Rec.
Okay, gotcha. So all things being equal would have been a facilities number code. Got it. Thank you.
okay, thanks. Anyone else? Yeah, Christie?
Hey, Charlie, just wanna, as far as the lighting, just make a comment that we're mindful, you know how neighbors can be about, light intrusion. So, yeah, it's just a comment.
Yeah, we're actually not very focused on any, the title is a little misleading. This particular thing really just focuses on the security cameras, and there isn't actually any additional lighting on any of these sites that are planned. The cameras will work with lighting that already pre-exists, and there will also be, infrared.
Thank you.
I have one more.
PJ, yeah,
Only other thing I know, you said you've worked with Andy Wilder quite often. Are these cameras all spec'd for locations like, North Jetties Beach or Tom Nevers where you get a high wind, high salt, kind of very exposed to the elements as opposed to more mid-island, inland around athletic fields? Obviously things on the coast around here especially take a very heavy beating and, a lot of times might be spec'd differently than your average device.
Yep, yeah, these are all spec'd for the specific locations. We went through location by location. I can go through these with you as to what we're looking at with Andy and I. And some locations we've got 2 cameras. So for instance, here at Jetties Beach, the cameras we positioned on the 2 bathing beach building, which is the old natural resources building. There'll be one camera there doing a 360 that will capture the road in, tennis court and upper parking lot usage, and then a fixed camera aimed down at the lower Jetties parking lot area to specifically capture things there in better resolution. At the bandstand at Children's Beach, there will be a 360-degree camera that will be focused to less than 360, so we won't really be looking into the
Club.
behind us, but we'll be focused on the Children's Beach area. And then there'll be a fixed camera with high resolution infrared inside the bandstand to try to, really deter a lot of the vandalism that we have occur down there every summer. Hopefully that'll be a big deterrent with all the trash and, a lot of youth down there in the summer that cause a lot of problems. Surfside Beach would be 360-degree camera to capture the parking lot and down the beach access points. Winter Park would have we're gonna be installing a shed there to protect some of our other equipment, such as the irrigation controls and well controls that are there currently exposed. And then on that shed, we'd be installing a 360-degree camera to capture the park, the playing field, the road in, and then a fixed camera on specifically the parking lot area, because there's a lot of, we'll say, illicit usage that kind of goes on there. And so we started in the spring, we did some clearing of some low-lying brush between that parking lot and Essex Road to make that a more exposed location to try to deter people from kind of hiding in the corner and doing whatever they kind of feel free with doing. At Nobodier, I've kind of penciled in here the athletic support building, which is the new structure that's currently under construction. And there'll be a 360-degree camera mounted on that to capture all the fields again in the roadway in. And then finally, the Delta Fields it has a current structure there. We'll be focusing on people entering in and around the actual structure itself, and then out into the playing fields. Hopefully to be able to, we had somebody out there 2 weeks ago decided to go do some donuts in the field, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to track them down and repair that. And then out at Tom Nevers, because of the size of the area, and talking to Andy, his recommendation was 2 cameras. One would go on either side of the existing bathroom building to capture either side of the fields down to the beach and roadways in. Just because there's so much area, it'll be 4 cameras focused on either side to give us the best images possible. And then finally, the last one, I believe, is at the DPW. It's additional camera into our existing system, which will be focused off of our salt shed down towards what would be kind of the back entrance to where people dump the scallop shells to cover our bins there, and people who apparently tend to wander in off that back road occasionally. And then here are just some of the spec sheets on the camera. So the 360 degrees are actually 4 lenses inside of a dome that can be focused on exactly where we'd like them to look. There's just some different examples of how the different lenses can be focused from 360 degrees, capturing, you know, all areas, or focused a little more. That's just the general spec sheet. And then these will be the domed specific cameras for, say, underneath in Jetty's concession or Children's Beach on the bandstand, and the focal cameras. That's kind of all I have for that.
Okay, Charlie, I got a couple for you.
Sure.
Can you, I guess, I presume that these are going to be event driven. If something happens, they get viewed by the authorized party who's interested. So that, if you could confirm, and the other is I presume that the video will be hosted on the town servers.
I believe so. Yeah, it'll be integrated into the police network. So as far as the fields and that sort of stuff, we'll be able to view it, say, from here at the DPW to monitor usage and things like that. And then also, if we have an event, we'll be able to access that, call up the police department and say, hey, we've had an incident at Delta Fields. Here's the timestamp on the video, and they'll be able to pull that to investigate for us.
Okay, so we'll feed through the police system.
It's the same. It's the same system. It'll integrate together.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful. And then I guess the other one is just on the resolutions out at the DPW back entry. Is that I don't need details, but is that a yes or no is fine. Is that a truly functional level given the distance between the mounting location and the street side entryway?
That's what I'm being told, is that it'll work. That's when I met with Andy and we were going through the aerials, that was one that was kind of added in late, was to add something to the back there. And he said from that position, we should be able to capture everything we need. Because I'd said, or would it make more sense to, put a free, camera on a flagpole, basically, closer in if we had to do something. His professional recommendations, we should be able to capture everything from the salt shed.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Anyone? No hands up. Christie.
Charlie, just to comment on Peter's point of the weather and salt, and just want to make sure there's a plan for, just making sure the lenses are clean, maybe some Rain-X or something, just so that you do have good resolution when you need it.
Yeah, we'll make sure we have something like that in place.
Little windshield wipers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're quite as fancy as the NASCAR cameras that have the self-cleaning lenses on them yet, but we'll get there.
No, good point, though. Okay, great. Charlie, why don't we move on? Next item is the
Nobody.
Parker Field addition and expansion.
Sure.
Yeah, Novadear.
All right, so here's just an aerial of our existing condition, just so everyone's aware. We have is just 2 natural grass fields and the 1 current synthetic field. Here is the proposal of what we're looking to do, which would be the addition of field number 4. It's kind of the big part of this, but overall the scope involves renovations to both fields number 2 and field number 3, which have kind of been let to go since their original construction. Both need some work as far as root zone upkeep, drainage, excuse me, some reworking of the irrigation systems to make them more efficient and waterfront and kind of water friendly. Some old technology, and there's a lot of stuff that we can upgrade. The existing parking lot will remain. There'll be a creation of a new parking spot up by the fourth field, and then some improvements to overall ADA accessibility as far as pathways and walkways around the area. And then I believe in the bid also includes field lighting for these fields as well. And obviously we'll be taking into place all the dark sky stuff. There's a lot of new technology. So the broadcast will be a lot less than say currently when you drive by the current football field at night. It's very, very focused, and there's already some other lighting in the area. So I think we should be okay with that. What else we have here? And then the price also includes, things, bike racks, benches, more trash receptacles. I believe there's 50 trees to be planted on the property, and the overall landscaping and upkeep, and the possibility of an additional pavilion or storage shed. Let's see.
Okay. Questions for Charlie? Christie, please.
Charlie, is this project based on demand? I mean, are we,
Yeah, so this is kind of the first step of the overall Parks and Rec master plan that was put together to make the addition of fields for our usage, because we're, obviously we've got the school project, and what they're going on in their usage is kind of maxed out, and our youth sports we're right at the tipping point of what we're able to sustain on our current grass fields. And ultimately, you'd like to be able to have, in a perfect world, 1 or 2 fields in a state of rest in a season, and so you're rotating your playing fields around instead of just constantly wearing on one field here, especially as we move forward. Our spring sports tend to take a hit, as our youth sports off island, their weather is about a month ahead of ours. And so when there's, their grass is growing faster, so our fields tend to take a pretty good little bit of a beating in the spring. So to be able to rotate things around here, so we can keep these fields in, the optimum condition is kind of the goal. This fourth field here was deemed kind of the easiest part to add on, because it was already permitted and the land mitigated for it when this original construction took place. I think it was back in 2008. They just at that point did not decide to add in the fourth field on this side, but that's why we decided to start here versus say with anything over on the Delta side.
Okay. Any other, Richard?
Off-topic question, Charlie, but is the support building, is that complete? The construction complete, or where are we on that?
We're about 95% complete. We're at this point, the overall construction is complete. The exterior landscaping, which is very simple, is complete. We're just waiting on back ordered doors at this point. We're hoping that they're in the next 30 days or so. It's some doors and hardware, things that are just get stuck in the supply chain on their way. Other than that, once we get those doors in, we'll be able to open up the building and then probably close it the next day because it is a seasonal building. But it's close to completion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jill?
Sorry, Charlie, I just didn't quite understand. So the turf enhancement so number 2 is going to be turf now?
No, those will be natural grass. It's just the actual turf. It needs a lot, they all need to be top dressed, overseeded. It's very patchy, and both fields 2 and 3 are extremely compact.
Yeah.
So 3 needing more work than field number 2. But basically be going through there, and the exact process that they have planned, but it'd be the version basically fluff, loosening up that top bit of soil, improving, some grading to get rid of some of the puddles that are in the middle, adding in more top soil that'll be, less compact. So if you go out there now, like the spring, I went out and I was taking soil samples to get an idea of where we were nutrient wise to implement our fertilizer program. And so over at the Delta field, which is a much older field and not used as heavily, you have a soil probe, which is basically this 18-inch long, 1-inch wide steel tube, and over it is cross on the Delta fields that sunk down a good 8-10 inches into the soil. And it's a good way to measure compaction. And then over on these fields, as I was walking across taking the samples, the level of compaction, I'm a pretty big guy and I'm putting a pretty good amount of force on this. It's only penetrating the soil to about 3 inches. So that just shows how compact that kind of root zone is, which affects our overall turf quality.
Did you all look at maybe doing another turf field? Because the turf field that you have is just in high demand. I feel like field 3, which they use as 2 fields, right? When they have practices and things, like, I feel like that doesn't get used as much.
Yeah, the synthetic field, because it's such a hot topic.
Yep.
And how everything went with the school with their proposed
Yep.
synthetic fields. We've decided to focus on grass for the moment. We are working with SMRT with some PFAS stuff, and we're hoping as the technology on everything improves as we move forward, because we do have a whole second part of this, which involves the Delta fields, that we might be able to reduce our overall fields that we're looking to then redo on that side, and supplement in with a synthetic field, because it plays a very large role in our youth sports, especially early, like I was talking about, early spring, when our grass isn't growing yet, to avoid destroying what becomes our grass game fields. Nantucket Youth Soccer and Nantucket Youth Lacrosse, which typically plays on the Delta fields, share the synthetic field early season until we reach a point of growth on the grass, or to reduce the amount of damage we do there. So it becomes a very high demand item, and I would love to add another one in at some point, but right now, just with the way everything stands, we're focusing on just improving the grass fields and the addition of another grass field, just with everything up in the air on the synthetics.
Have you already cleared the site there? I haven't seen that yet.
Not yet. We haven't cleared the site, but that is where it was originally permitted to go,
Yeah.
which is why that was where it was selected. We haven't started any work as far as field construction. Obviously, this is all just in planning phase here until we just need to get the approval for the money to move forward.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. So again, it's so involved in that, and I can go down to the tick sheet here. Is the land clearing is involved in this overall picture, along with all the different root zone amendments. There's a lot here.
Wow.
Plus sidewalks, walkways, everything down to the new soccer goals we'll need for the new field. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's gonna feel really different on Obadiah when you clear that.
Yeah, I believe the plan is to leave a buffer, just as there is along Milestone Road, so that you won't get to peek in at the field as you drive by, or look across the field at the drive-in if it's still there, and get a free 15-second movie while you driving by.
It's great. I'm for more fields and doing them right. I'm sorry we can't seem to do turf yet, but I do hope we get there.
Yeah, it was, I was hoping I think we have something on for fiscal 25 to do some improvements to the current turf field. And my hope was to kind of change out the product that we're using there to this Brockville product, which the school was looking at, which kind of gets rid of the crumb rubber infill and drops it out for this virgin Southern pine wood product. But unfortunately, that in conjunction needs to be worked in with the conjunction of a new base mat underneath the green grass.
Mhm.
So in order to switch to that product, we would essentially have to tear up the entire field and basically install a new one. So we're not quite there yet.
Right. Thank you.
Charlie, Jason has a question. Jason, do you want to pop on, or we'll just read it from the chat? Hey,
Yeah, I'm
Jason.
just curious about the lighting. I saw 400,000 in the cost estimates, and making sure that that'll be whatever it's dark sky certified, it's pointed down so the neighbors are happy and the skies are still dark.
Yep, yeah, they believe that's the plan. It'll be whatever the highest tech lighting we can get, where it's as focused on the field with as minimal amount of spillover as possible.
Great, thank you.
Charlie, could you go back to the site plan?
Sure.
Just a couple quick questions. So I think on operations, one is relates to cost and one as relates to parking. It seems as though your primary consideration is that this is to let the fields rest as opposed to, dramatically increasing the use. And with use comes, an increase in use comes an increase in parking. So you haven't added any, so I'm presuming you all aren't anticipating additional use, and if you are, have you tried to provision for parking somewhere? Either additional lane on the drop off?
It's right there, Stephen.
Yep, it's actually right here, right in front of field 4. Will be 42 new parking spaces.
Oh, you know what? That's the road where I ride my wheel and I didn't really even notice it.
So that would be,
I-
as you come in, the road would get reconstructed. As you come in now, the road kind of splits around the center island. And I believe the roadway would kind of shift to go through the center island, and where it kind of bends around to the right where you drive in now would become part of the new parking area.
Okay, no, that addresses it. Thanks. I'll put on my bifocals next time.
And there is, is the resting field is really a future thing. That would not be probably in the first few years. So this new field, when constructed, ideally would be given 18 to 24 months of growth before we put student athletes on it. And so as we, prepare and kind of beef up everything we do at Nobody, that is in preparation, then actually for phase 2, when we start work on the Delta fields, because at that point, when we shut the Delta fields down, we'll need, all the play will really take place at Nobody, as both lacrosse and soccer will host their games there. And not to get too far into phase 2, but as we kind of shut down the Little League fields for construction there, Little League will probably go out to Tom Nevers, and we're in the process of trying to put together a plan to spruce up the Tom Nevers fields to make them suitable for Little League play in this overall plan of the, for the overall Parks and Rec master plan.
Okay, I got one more,
No
Christian.
problem.
So I think on the north field, the improvement there is great, filling some of those gopher holes. It occurs to me that from an operation standpoint, one of on our questionnaire, and you're not at that point of involvement yet, but we do look at what the increase for operations for hard maintenance cost and personnel would be. It appears to be that, although you're adding, another field, overall, the cost for the maintenance is not going to be dramatically improved because the fields themselves are being improved. So maybe there's a little bit less involved in the maintenance side of it. Or
A little bit. I mean, it's kind of an evolving thing as we move forward with, how we build out the Parks and Rec department. Currently, all the fields are being cared for by a third party. We have those subcontracted out, and they come in and they're currently taking care of the Delta fields, the Nobody fields, and the fields out at Tom Nevers. So that's all under contract. So for now, so depending on moving forward, whether we, depending on how we can build the department out, if we can find people that will want to come and work for the town and the Parks and Rec department, we'll obviously like to take all that sort of maintenance as far as, grass growing and, overseeing all these things in-house. If we can't, we'll have to continue to outsource moving forward.
okay, but definitely there'll be some type of a bump up then.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Christie?
Charlie, my last question I had asked about demand for another court. I like your answer with, trying to give some of these fields a rest. So I know they say multi-use field, but really they're soccer fields. You can maybe play flag football on there. But if someone goes to do something else other than soccer and soccer people show up, it feels like you're on their territory. So I just want to make sure that going forward, we're keeping in mind other options and opportunities for sports and rec that is open to a larger contingent. For example, volleyball courts, croquet court, bocce, which are things people do out here. Because personally, like, I don't play soccer, so I never will go down into that area other than to go see a movie.
Right.
So that whole Parks and Rec area for me doesn't serve my needs, but I just want to make sure that we are not narrow-minding this whole development for really one group of people that, play a sport.
Yeah, so it's kind of tough to see because I know it's small, but in the upper corner of the screen here, it's a little sneak peek of what we're kind of looking at on the Delta fields on the other side of the road. I don't know if I can make that any larger, but because of how we're more constricted over here at Nobody as to how much more we can do and install, and really we only have enough space to add to one field. There's a lot planned on the Delta side, which is still in the kind of the moving, design phase because it works in with potential DPW relocation. But things we have in our plans are more tennis courts, pickleball courts. I think we've got 2 beach volleyball courts, playground, outdoor exercise facility, large walking path around the whole thing. So this side of the road is a little bit more formal sport focused, but we are definitely taking all that into consideration on the Delta side, just because we have more space to work with to expand.
Got it. All right, just something to be mindful, that's all.
Yeah, thank you, Christy. Actually, I think it's a great point and well taken. Keep the broad use application in there. And Charlie, good to hear that you guys are planning that just in a different location. So thanks for coming in, Charlie. We appreciate the information. Our processes will take up review at a later date and we'll deliberate and then make a recommendation.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks again.
Yeah, no problem.
All right,
Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
we're still, did Barry sign on? No, we're down one more. So I'm just gonna put off the new day and time for meetings. There's no
Won't see him.
change of meeting venue. We discussed. One comment came up. I just still find it difficult parking, that's all. But that's still on a question mark.
Get a job at the health
I
department.
parked over at the Downey Plate when I got my donuts.
Oh,
Yeah, they're gonna
Oh.
stamp my meter ticket. Oh, no, they haven't there's no paid parking in place yet.
do they
Just
have an
joking.
underground parking lot there yet?
Not yet, not yet.
Are they building an underground garage?
The water table is gonna be an issue. I think they, decided
In
not
the
to
Apple
do
store.
that. Yeah.
That downstairs then. And a Dell store.
All right, the report writing work group, just to move on and are we, where are we with the comments and footnotes field and the template?
So Bill is back from vacation and he's been communicating with Sue. We had a first attempt, which is not exactly the way that we're looking for it. So Sue communicated back with some additional clarification. And he's going back to his drawing board to make those changes and submit it back to us.
Okay, and can we accelerate in that the footnotes and the comments I sent
Those are
you?
the highest priority.
Okay, on the PDF I sent you the other day.
The footnotes and comments are the highest priority to get fixed right now. So
Okay, and then,
where it's focused.
okay, thank you. And then with respect to the template. Excuse me. I think it's gonna be really beneficial for everyone. And Jill a little bit handling scheduling for us to get a timeline and when he believes it. The initial draft will be delivered. And then thereafter, modifications so that can be scheduled out.
So Sue can talk to him about that she'll send an email today or tomorrow, probably today to him.
Okay,
And we'll get an ETA on that so that we can have the first draft for you guys to, and then we can make modifications with him.
okay.
Any changes necessary.
If you sense urgency in my voice, it's not there yet, but I do want to
I don't sense any.
kind of keep a tight leash on that with respect to the timeline, because if there is something structural that develops that we have to work around, we're going to need the time for volunteers to do that. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you guys following up on that stuff. We did finalize work groups' respective report writing responsibilities, so probably we can cross that one off for, actually, I'm gonna modify that, Sue, for the next agenda. To the extent of, why don't we make it more of an update type of a entry? so that as we get into reporting, it will be there for the respective members just to comment if they'd like to on status, or if they have questions or comments they'd like the rest of the group to be involved in. That way it's on our agenda and they don't have to wait. I can hand you the language on that when you send the agenda. The green sheets, the committee reports, we don't have our NPDC member here. Jason, anything select board nature, that Capcom stuff? Okay. Good of the order, presume we're still headed in the right direction. Eyes to the sky. Rory workshop. For those who are attending, there are donuts from the Downy Flake
That's today.
for our Rory workshop. They shorted us one donut, or maybe I just miscounted.
Yeah.
Eat
Um,
that on the
I was
walk
gonna
over,
say,
Mr.
yeah,
Chairman.
don't go.
yeah, and you, if they'll still be here if you want to walk over.
On the Downing.
But the idea of the workshop is we've got some time, and I don't know where everyone is completing their Rories. So we got a little bit of time. We can sit here and work. And I don't know, can we just put up like can you just post a Word, screen share a Word document that says work groups workshop session, and that'll be what the screen is. And that way, you know, we're not just, somebody zooms in, they're not, because we're all together, we still have to record. Or I guess we don't have to record, we just don't, we just don't convene the meeting,
Okay,
right?
I,
Is
if
that,
you have a quorum, I mean,
yeah.
don't you have to?
Well, let me ask this. I think the important part of that, whether we have hybrid or not, is Jill, Jill or Jason, are you gonna stick around to partake in the workshop by working on your own locations? Or are you gonna sign off?
I'm out of town. I've got to sign off.
Okay, and Jason?
I can be here till 11:15.
Okay, so the question is if, I don't know, do you guys think there'll be, I'm going somewhere with this. Do you think there'll be some discussion, or do you think we'll that Jason would want to stick around for? And if not, we could cut him free and then we can turn off the broadcast, even though we don't convene the meeting.
How would you propose discussion? Like,
I just
what
thought
do
if
you-
something came up.
I
Yeah,
would assume that one of us will probably say something while doing a Rory that'll trigger some
Yeah.
kind of casual.
Yeah,
Do you have a quorum?
through a
yeah, we'll have a quorum.
Then you can't, I mean, you
No,
can.
we
If
will
you
have
don't
a
discuss
quorum.
anything, it's fine, but it's best practice. If you have a quorum, just keep the meeting rolling and keep it recording.
Okay, because I mean, there was a time, you all remember, we didn't have Zoom.
Question is whether or not Jason stays on.
Yeah, so
That's really
that,
the question.
if he wants to stay on, then we'll keep the meeting rolling, and if not, we don't necessarily have to, but I understand Jason's comment. I don't have an issue with it. We can just post something that says workshop.
Well, just
I
put
mean, if
this
we're all-
capital program committee is in a workshop discussion.
Yeah, why don't we just do that and we'll leave it at that?
I
Okay,
was gonna say, if we're all working on the same Rory.
well, that's the
there's a
thing.
good chance that we will have.
Or just if one of us
Talk
has a
about it.
random question, like, hey, did we ever get?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do a structured discussion. I just
Yeah.
figured go through your list.
Do the ones that you need to.
Yeah. And then you guys would benefit, if you want to start.
Screen share that, is that when I leave, is that it?
Yeah, I'd say just screen share it.
Oh,
Sue or Brian or both. The other thing with Charlie, I think it's gonna be really important because otherwise it's a severe time waster for Sue. Is a report that indicates what Rories are complete.
Okay.
And aren't.
For each
Because,
member?
yeah, because Rick was actually going through each request, looking at the team view, recording who wasn't complete yet.
We can do that.
It's just a lot of human work that seems
We
unnecessary.
could write a report in the future, but we'll collectively, Sue and I will take a look at them all.
Okay, and then the other aspect of that, since I don't have the report capacity currently, Sue, can you generate a list of requests, current requests by department and email it to the membership? Because then they can kind of track their own, they can print it out, and as they complete one, they can, cross it off the list or however they want to address it.
I actually think there is a report that I can run that shows who's done what for Rory's.
Oh,
We may
awesome.
have it.
I've taken a
Okay.
look at it. It's not an easy report to, follow, but it's at least something. So
Okay. If you find it and you could send me a copy, and if you could send the membership a list of reports by request by department. I think we'll get much closer to where we need to be. I just want to remind everyone, it's gonna be November. Shortly, we're gonna be start to review the RORIs themselves in order to come up with an up-down for mid-December for the select board and the finance committee. So I just want to broadcast that because it will get timing will become more important, especially as we're going into the holiday with Thanksgiving and whatnot.
Stephen, who's on the agenda for next week?
Oh, that's a trick question because I didn't.
No,
preview
it's
the
solid
schedule.
waste. Next week
Solid
is solid
waste.
waste.
And after solid waste, what do we have? Town administration?
Yeah, on the
We have a,
7th.
I'm sorry, Stephen.
Oh, no, go ahead.
10th, we have a flex date and we were gonna bring the airport back in. And then the 17th is town admin.
Yeah, the 17th is done, Evan. Okay. And then it'll be the holiday, and then we're gonna pick up Rory review. So it'll be quick. It'll be good if everybody gets caught up. Okay, so with all that said, you guys just go ahead and work on your Rory's. You know, unstructured discussion at this point.
Jimmy
I
just,
got a
put-
question.
Yeah.
A general question.
Jimmy just put this up like that.
Yeah, because we're still visible on the owl, right?
Were you here last week?
Yeah, so
What's that?
Were you here last week?
thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
And then you'll
perfect.
shut everything down.
Follow up with
Yeah, I
it?
just hit
You don't
exit.
need me
and-
to- yeah.
No, you don't need to
No,
stick
no,
around.
Stop recording and then exit and close and then just.
Last week?
control
Wait,
the
what?
better
Oh, that's
use of
when they're
your
coming back in?
time.
Gotcha. I know.
and-
Sue sent-
Put the key back in the thing.
Will you write down the code
You
again?
don't need to, it's on it, and it just, it opens automatically because I didn't change it,
Okay,
and then just
sure.
move the numbers down, and then that way.
Gotcha.
Lock it up.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay,
I'll see everybody next week.
thanks, Brian. Thank
So-
you, Sue.
Before you go, Brian,
Yeah.
both of the things that we heard today
Yeah.
are medium in terms of priority.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm asking.
Um,
Can you clarify through
I
an
will, we
email?
will clarify because I'm not sure what the town manager's actual priority list is. I think that most likely the cameras are probably higher priority, given the locations that we're
Okay,
trying
the
to.
paperwork said low, so
I
that's my
understood.
confusion.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, medium and high has kind of floated, has kind of been, but when something's low,
Low,
yeah.
That's definitely.
Okay,
I guess I would make the observation that if we're putting it forward this year, it's a priority for the town in a way, right?
yeah,
But I think that it's something maybe not necessarily that we get completely sorted out in this programmatic year. But on a go-forward basis, we can certainly make a more conservative effort to identify what the real priority is in terms of on town administration's list in conjunction with the select board and everyone else. Okay, thank you.
I'd also volunteer just on the topic, you know, being a Yankee, frugal. I don't want to spend money we don't have to, and I want to spend the money we spend well. The cost for this has jumped up. I know part of it was an expansion of the service, but it's relatively short dollars. It accomplishes a lot with respect to security. So for me, that's gonna kind of jump into my, just sharing, that's gonna jump into my decision-making process. So on that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and complete my Rory on that.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Donuts, guys, don't be shy. They're not gonna eat themselves. It depends.
Set the standard. Can't go backwards.
Yeah, I'll drop the receipt off at finance. Coconut, maple glaze, chocolate, and a cranberry muffin if anybody's watching their waist.
I got a general question.
Yeah, what's up?
See how you guys interpret something.
No.
When you get to.
No.
Take a donut,
infrastructure-
interpretation.
Infrastructure improvement. Right, on the road. For example, you have the say for the fields, infrastructure improvement. But there's also a liability, there's a cost to maintaining the new field.
I'd do 100%.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check for chocolate.
Yeah, I do 100.
Roads, field.
You don't, like, depending on what it is, you don't weigh in. What the
Maintenance process.
the new maintenance costs are, annual maintenance costs at all?
I don't see that factoring into whether or not it's.
I know it's, yeah, I mean, when it says infrastructure, it's really not talking about the financing of it.
That would probably fall a little bit more
But-
into, was it and decreases operations and maintenance cost. If it increases it, then, you know, they're negatively
Yeah.
impact that one, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean,
Like
kind
really,
of like vehicles are no, zero,
yeah, there's very,
roads, buildings, fields are yes, 100%,
yeah,
not much in between there.
there's very little to me that reduces operations management cost. I mean, unless it's an electric car. What other, what other, what?
Even a new car that's replacing a 12-year-old car, I mean,
Yeah,
it would, you know, they get better gas mileage, they have better emissions,
You know,
but
new
you're-
lights
But
typically.
you're also, as far as a request, you're purchasing a car.
Right, but if you're replacing a car, if it's replacing an older car.
Yeah.
You know, if that car is going out and this car's coming in, and this one gets better gas mileage.
yeah, maybe service interval.
Slightly, yeah, I mean,
If you're replacing,
Wear and
you
tear
know,
on cars.
incandescent lights with LED lights, I mean, you're
Yeah.
gonna save some on electricity because they're more efficient.
Yeah.
New buildings are more efficient than old buildings, so if you're gonna tear down an old building that's drafty and doesn't hold heat, you're gonna build a new one that's, you know, spec'd out to. Energy ratings,
yeah. it's hard for
that's
me
the
to
kind
get-
of stuff that goes through my mind when I think about it.
Mhm.
And even if it's just a little bit, it's 25%, you know, you don't have to do the math and figure out what the improvement is, but.
Yeah.
Christie, I
Um,
think that's a good question. If I can jump in is like the CMOM, I can think of different scenarios where it reduces operating in maintenance costs in the long term, but also can increase it in the short term, right? Because if we have everything mapped out, we'll be able to fix problems easier, which will reduce payroll and we'll be able to make better, quicker decisions. But I agree, there's not a lot that reduces OM cost.
Yeah.
It's hard not to tie in.
I mean, some of them are simpler example. Well, I mean, using the soccer fields as an example, if those were getting really heavy use. And they were out there having to do, you know, because it's natural grass, they're having to do heavy renovation work on a regular basis. The introduction of a new field would help to cut down on the maintenance, direct hard costs and the labor costs. The other one I think is the leakage through the manhole covers. And I think that doesn't reduce the labor cost, but it would I think what David was saying is that the eliminating the inflows helps to reduce some of the chemicals and different things required of the sewer maintenance plan. So yeah, that one doesn't really, it's on our priority list because it was on the DOR. I think it's one to have, I think it's reasonable to have it on there, but
Oh, yeah.
you guys are right, it doesn't come up a lot.
Yeah.
And if you did
It's nice when it does, though.
20 bedrooms.
Yeah. Well, like the jetter truck that they used
If
at
they
the
could,
sewer
that's what
for
do it, you know,
years
but
and
without having a plan.
it was like, you know, you have equipment that
Yeah.
you're like, boy, I wish I could replace this because it takes me 3 times as long to do the job.
Mm.
So long term, I think Jason's observation that in the short term, it may not make a tremendous difference, but over time it can start to make a little bit of a dent.
Yeah.
Or increase productivity that allows them to do other work instead. So then you get a benefit there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 All right. So security cameras.
All your airport ones besides the housing?
What's that?
Do you do all your airport ones besides the housing
No.
already? Yeah. Just looking at those.
I apologize. CC, what is it? The FCC regulation?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that we gotta have, as we said at the meeting prior, no new ground covered here.
Yeah, I mean.
Get an idea of what else is going on there, because it's more involved than. Seems like it's more involved than what we're. Maybe understanding currently.
I mean, I was saying to Richard just now that, you know, I mean, most duplexes that we're seeing get sold are, you know, about $300,000 a bedroom. You know, so
Yeah,
if we knew how many bedrooms they had, but I feel like the plan is still kind of so up in the air that you don't. You know, because it could be this, it could be that, it could be the other thing, and so. You know, if it's $6 million for 20 bedrooms, then maybe the math works out, you know, or something a little bit less than that, but. I don't know, you're seeing people even build new duplexes for less than that, and then, you know.
I know,
making
I don't
money
know, I
selling
don't get it, I don't know
them.
if it's a government thing or, I don't understand.
Where are the.
There's
extra
gotta
costs?
be, everyone knows you can do it cheaper.
Well, And that's right, that's why that's why we're offering resistance, that and the idea that we don't really understand what the
What's that?
housing is gonna be designated for, other than it's reserved to a particular class of worker due to FAA regulation, so it makes it a lot more difficult for us to kind of look at it and say, yeah, it makes sense, because it doesn't to us
Yeah.
currently.
And for me, not even knowing what the actual number of bedrooms are, what the layout's gonna be, you know, the layout of the whole property, whatever the two buildings are ultimately gonna be. And that's something that you feel you wanna be comfortable with before you kind of commit to going forward with it,
Yeah.
which I know it's kind of tough to, you know, chicken or the egg, but
Well, no one wants to be a rubber stamp. Or feel that way, so
or
I
let
think,
them horse out of the barn before, you know whether or not you wanna put it back in.
yeah, I think, you know, the additional information will be helpful, and we can.
Did you read the additional information?
I haven't read the letter yet,
Same
I'm gonna
as the
wait
original
until
information?
they come in.
Was it the same as the original information?
No, it's additional.
Yeah,
No, I
there's,
know, but did
yeah.
you? Sounds
Yeah.
like you're,
Yeah.
what was
I-
your impression?
Feel like sharing that.
well, I mean, we can deliberate it let's talk about that when we have them here. I don't want them to feel, you know, unfairly. Look, we're reviewing Rory's, it's part of our process to talk about these things, and we need to be able to speak about them in a sense candidly, but publicly, so figure that one out.
We're still recording.
Yeah. So I don't have an issue with any of the discussion we're having. But it'll be beneficial. I'm gonna look at the letter before they come in on the 10th. Just so it's fresh in my mind. The information that
I think
Brian
the
forwarded.
airport, yeah, be nice for them to get a hold of that parking lot. How they charge for it. They've tried different things, you know, every 4
Oh, you mean
years.
more revenue?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of lost revenue there.
Mhm. I'm kind of curious how the electric is gonna play out. Cause that's,
Charging stations?
yeah, I want to
Yeah,
understand the
that's what
revenue model there, because it seems,
who pays for all that electricity,
yeah.
you know?
And then how does it offset? I don't know, there's some questions there, I think that,
I like the idea that they're looking out that far for
The
I
plan,
know,
the plan.
Well, I think
Where
it's,
we eliminate gas engine cars and we go to electric cars.
yeah,
What
but,
is that, 10 years down the road?
how does that fit into, I mean, we don't talk about third cable here because it's not part of our capital request, but it's probably the biggest, one of the bigger single capital
yeah,
request items, other than, you know, like sewer,
build a new
school, stuff like that. And that's solar's not gonna power those cars. And it takes, you know, right, current technology is you need between 6 and 8 hours for a full charge, so figure that out. Like,
yeah,
you can't pull up to the gas station.
Yeah.
And
30
go,
hours, yeah.
like, yeah, there's a shared, I think there's the convenience factor is not being considered, and think about. I mean, think about how impatient people are in the summertime when they can't get their cup of coffee.
Yeah, when you try to pull into a gas station and there's 10 people in there in a
Yeah.
cluster and, you know, people are backing back out into the street and, yeah.
Well, that never happened, Stephen.
Yeah. When I said it, I thought you might comment.
What,
I mean, it'd be easy for them to charge for any aviation related
right,
electric
with a meter or
service.
something
Yeah.
like that.
But the cars, you know, people go everywhere and there's free charging stations,
Like who puts the bill for the ones right here? Just the town?
I don't know,
It's just
I
a
probably.
lot of the towns.
Yeah.
So they have a grant, I think they do.
I don't see a meter on them,
No,
so
I
I
don't think
presume
people are
that
paying
they're,
when they pull up to charge their car at it.
if it's not metered, I don't know how it gets paid for.
But I mean, in all the places that you see them all over where they're just
Yeah, no,
available,
yeah,
they're not metered. I mean, you're not sticking your credit card in before you hook your car up.
yeah,
So I mean, that's just everywhere I see them, that always piques my interest, like
Yeah.
electricity isn't cheap. Takes a lot to build these batteries.
well, the thing I thought was interesting was, seeing some of the footage from the Ian storm. Is it Ian?
Yeah.
With the Teslas and the salt water. So they spontaneously combust.
Hmm.
Due to the electrolyte change in the chemical reaction of the
process or something.
contacts in the salt water.
Huh.
And they're like literally just, you know, just catching on fire. And unfortunately, you know, vehicle fire is pretty intense to begin with, but the lithium ion
Yeah, that
is
stuff gets volatile.
really intense.
It's,
Not the gasoline is volatile, but
So I don't know, you know, people want the easy button, but You know, easy is typically never simple. A lot involved.
Requires patience.
Okay, save rankings. I'm kind of surprised my fields only came in at 54%. Reduces energy. And we can, you know, I don't know, why don't we set a time? It's 11 now,
Yeah, probably gonna have to roll soon myself. I gotta go.
so
One more.
everybody take a donut and
Will somebody eat a donut for me? Love donuts. Somebody just take one for the team, have one for me. Let me know. how it
which flavor am I gonna be
That's a
forced to
question,
eat,
yeah.
Jason?
looks. You know, sugar, caramel, well, whatever,
There's
Oh.
coconut chocolate and maple glazed.
maple glaze.
All right, I'll do it. You
Thank
can owe
you.
me one.
Jason, you like donuts?
He loves them. I'm gonna eat one for him.
Do you like donuts for real?
Oh, yeah, I have a donut problem.
Oh, I do too. Go
If
to,
the staff bring it in here, I can't help myself.
listen, I give you a tip. Go to, Born and Bred. They've got some cider donuts up there.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
Really?
Give it a try.
What a plug.
Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you all. Bye, Terry.
There you go, Richard.
All right, so we're gonna,
What brewery-
He's not
Richard,
saying it.
What brewery is that?
Yeah,
Yeah, is that
right.
on a high priority?
Yeah, no, it's low elected.
I mean, you got a little coconut right there. There it is. Yes, sir. Major improvement, efficiency, and effectiveness. No, I guess.
what am I missing, Richard?
No, no, it's a habitat thing.
Oh. Sounds like it was a good one.
No, it's.
Hmm. Don't envy Barry. He's he's got a lot of catching up
I was
to
gonna
do.
say, a lot of areas open.
Yeah, and you know, just getting up to speed on the process.
No, I don't think I'd worry about Barry. I wouldn't worry.
Yeah, he'll get through it. I offered to beat him for the price of a cup of coffee.
You're pretty pricey these days.
Yeah.
Over at,
Bad.
Cumbies, it's
Huh?
$1.07.
Oh, Fridays, it's free again.
Oh, on Fridays?
Friday, free coffee at Cumbies. I am not being paid for that endorsement.
It's
Nice
basic,
plug.
it's basically free anyway, $1.
A buck, yeah. I mean, what can you get for a buck?
And you can tailor it perfectly.
Two.
What's the commercial? They have, I don't know if it's for Cumbies, but it's the guys talking about, yeah, I don't have to worry about having dirty, sweaty hands making your coffee. He's got a deep,
Oh,
have you heard that on the radio? It's
Oh.
on 96.3. I listened to the Greg Hill Sports Show in the morning,
oh, yeah.
and I think I hear it then. I'm thinking we'll call it.
Yep.
It's good just to get a chance to sit around and chat even for a few
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And
Sounds
so entertain date of next meeting will be Thursday, November 3rd. And entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Richard, any motion?
Aye.
Actually, we can just say all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Not opposed, carries unanimously. Thank you for sticking with us, Terry and Boyana.
Good day to be scalded.
Going Sunday,
Yeah,
last day.
What's this?
it's almost 70 degrees out right now.
Pulled 8 quarts. Last time we went, just boom,
Hey, what quarts?
8 quart, you know, a big stainless steel bowl.
Oh,
I didn't measure the
scallops.
pounds.
Wow.
The scallops?
Yeah, we were out for about an hour.
Oh, cool.
I gave all my stuff away.
Yeah, I never bought it in the first place.
Take a donut to go, please.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for bringing those.
Thank you.
Very much.
See you guys next week.
All right.
You going to Harvard?
I went to Manica.
Oh. Okay. I thought you were a Harvard lifer, following the crowd. Yeah.
I heard, I don't want to say this, where